Olympic values were respected and observed, wouldn't you?
Our goal is to inspire and enable people to adopt an active, healthy, and fulfilling lifestyle.
Team sports allow us to talk about life skills.
The Olympic Games in sport sees itself as a promoter of human rights.
Hello, everybody, all my listeners and viewers. You're welcome on this seminar. I must have to say bravo to the organizing committee to begin with, and then I have to extend a warm welcome. My very, very special welcome to Ada, our today's presenter, Ada Jafri. Friends, I have this honor. She's one name which is associated with Olympism and education movement in Pakistan. How social institutions, your family, friends, teachers, mentors, and others played role in your life to promote Olympism, and how Olympism brought that spirit in you to get along with all these family, friends, teachers, and mentors. How these two things work together.
Yeah, so as you mentioned earlier, that I've also, I proudly say that when I was growing up, I belong from a Sayyid family, and in Muslim cultures and Sayyid families, generally it's a little bit hard for girls to go for jobs. And I mean, in my family, we are the first generation of women who are actually working in the field, because before that, my mom, my aunts, nobody was allowed to work. So in this whole scenario, I think my father played the role of a champion, because from a very early age, he said that, when I was in grade 3 or grade 5, he was used to tell us that you can even marry any boy, whoever you like, right? So he has played a great role, in pushing us and, achieving more and more every day. So that's where, I was able to, despite being from a family which was not very women empowerment ideals oriented, I was able to, start achieving at a younger age. And of course, we are forced
to go to Olympism.
Yeah, and then so after working with the school for a decade, I still had that void that I want to enhance my outreach. If I can impact 1,000 students, why can't I impact 1,000 people or 100,000 people? So this enhancement of outreach, of impacting people for a social change, is something that eventually took me to the people who were associated with Olympism in the country. And luckily, the National Olympic Committee Pakistan, the leadership, they were so supportive, so positive, that they opened door for me like anything. And I initiated my engagement by working with the Karate Federation and then the Olympic organization. And then I got to know that there is something called Olympic education. I got to know there is something called Olympic culture and heritage. And from there, it never ended. The journey went on and on. And the ideas of Olympism and why I was able to do so much was the global values of excellence, friendship, and respect. That with these great, and inspiring values, how is it possible that someone who is associated with the brand at a local level or at an international level cannot work more? And then the icing, topping icing on the cake was that I was enrolled for MEMOS, which is the most prestigious program of the International Olympic Committee. And I traveled across Europe and US for a year while I was doing that course. And that again was, a completely changing scenario for me, because I started meeting people. Like I met Neeraj, I met Vita, I met so many Olympic ambassadors from across the globe.
Friendship was promoted, Olympism spirit.
Yeah, so the friendship still, still on WhatsApp every day, each and every day we talk, from Switzerland, Namibia.
Ada, we would like to have your video also on board.
Yeah.
If you're ready with your video.
Yeah, so the next, so I'll just cover this slide quickly, because in the title, as I explained, that I want to talk about how the evolving role institutions can play in further, delivering the spirit of Olympism across the globe. these institutions, a lot of people think that if you are working for a National Olympic Committee and if you are working for a National Sports Federation, only then you have the ability to play your role in promoting Olympism and in promoting the Olympic ideals across the globe. But I believe even if you're working in a school, you're working in any NGO, you're working for any community initiative, you can still play a role, and I believe that as we see that over the years, over the decades, how the Olympic movement has evolved and how the latest agenda of the Olympic movement is so holistic, and it covers almost everything from athletes in storage to the journalists to the gender equality to sports to culture. So I strongly believe that in the same way, in the way how Olympic movement has evolved over the years, in the same way, all these institutions locally also needs to be evolved. So they should be working in collaboration.
Totally agreed.
And
Agreed.
in partnership with each other for the promotion of Olympism. Yeah.
Yes.
So now
I get the point.
just to show you that how beautifully different. Okay, great. And in fact, Kiran, I would like you to comment on this because you have seen the Olympic movement evolving when you were an athlete and then you became a trainer, a coach, a mentor. And now we see you here, as Anubhav mentioned, being a global ambassador. How have you seen the Olympic movement, evolving over the years?
I personally feel very strongly about sporting activities. Sport has never been very competitive, attractive to me, although I played for Asian competition sports, Asian level competitions. However, whatever I am today, it's because of my sporting activities, my social affiliation with sporting people. I just learned the biggest lesson of life which Olympism taught me was, you play every day, you lose, but you play again next day. You never give up. I think that was the biggest lesson I ever got from that spirit of excellence. Carry on, try on, carry on, try on. And I admire you for doing your best. And well, I did my best. I've had great, I'm still very, very active in my circles through my Elevate Training Australia programs, in which we involve youth leadership programs and activities. However, it's your day today. Please go on with your video.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
we look forward to
it. So with this, as doctor, I don't know why I feel that you are a doctor.
I am a doctor, yes.
Oh, so as Dr. Kiran has just mentioned, I believe that with the, with the way how Olympic movement has evolved and the way now we see that we don't talk about only sports when we talk about Olympic movement. We go beyond sports and we talk about education, we talk about culture, we talk about heritage, we talk about sensitive issues like gender equality. And then with all this seriousness, we do have the element of fun and entertainment attached to the Olympic movement. I will just share with you a video now, which is, I consider it a small achievement. It is about our Olympic Day of the Pakistani community that we had in 2019. And we tried to integrate sports, education and culture together in this event. And I think, so it was all about arts, it was about sports, it was about education and awareness and this festivity of the Olympic movement. All right, so this Olympic Day was all about integrating culture, education and sports and bringing all these three beautiful elements of the Olympic philosophy together. And now I would now from here on I will I'll focus a little bit more on the Olympic education. All of us know that what Olympic education is all about. It talks about educating and promoting and delivering the Olympic ideals. It is delivered in 1,000 different ways in different countries. As Vita was speaking quite intensively about the Olympic Value Education Program yesterday in the last session. She's of course an expert in delivering OVAP in Lithuania. And apart from OVAP, there are many other manuals and many other curriculum content booklets that help you to deliver Olympic education in your local community. Olympic education also, what we need to understand is not less than the legacy of the Olympic philosophy, because this is the only education tool through which we can deliver the Olympic ideals from one let's say one generation to the other generation, right? So this is the best way to deliver the Olympic ideas. Then, as you know, the title of the webinar and the theme of the webinar is also about the 21st century skills and how we see Olympism in the 21st century. So I'll just have a small slide here which talks about the 21st century skills. They are about collaboration, communication. So they basically focus on learning skills, the literacy skills, and the life skills. And exactly this is how the Olympic values framework is also made and developed. So if you just go to the olympic.org and download OWEP 2.0 kit, it gives you a whole, framework with planned and ready to use activities. This is more, for those, if there are physical educators watching me over here, or if there are trainers and mentors who deliver workshops and seminars, you can very easily, bring the Olympic education activities and the 21st century delivering activities together and combine these activities and deliver them within the classroom or outside the classroom environment, right? Apart from it, in the next, I'll also share with you here that because of this global pandemic COVID-19 situation, most of us have now become used to the online learning methodology. There are many parts, I'm sure, in India and at least in Pakistan we do have their teachers availability of laptops. So I mean, in this pandemic situation, what I think that this is a very nice time for those athletes who are in the career transition phase of their life, for those educators who generally don't get enough time to explore interesting opportunities. So this is high time that all of us, those who are associated with the Olympic movement, make the Olympic education a strategic priority in the education streams. So I've seen so many schools and so many colleges delivering lessons only on the main core subjects, that is math, science, English, and stuff like that, because of course they have less online in online education. The school hours have been squeezed. But I really want to emphasize here that if you are in a position as an administrator, as an education leader, or as a trainer, about the essence of Olympism and the importance of physical education in this time. So on this next slide, I'm just sharing with you a couple of different digital resources. These are all free of cost. So on this slide, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different resources. These are all digital booklets and they are available online. There is a quote by Thomas Pash which says, "Sports is not just a physical activity. It promotes health and help prevent or even cure the disease of modern civilization. It also is an educational tool which fosters cognitive development, teaches social behavior, and help to integrate community." Now, this integrate community is something we have been talking about, and that's it from my side. So then we are good with time. So Dr. Kinnor, would you like to comment on integrating community, because you have lived here in India, and now you are there in Australia from so many years, and you have been part of the Olympic movement. So how do you comment on integrating community?
Now I think in digital world there is no borders, there's no nationalities. This is only communities. And we all connect to each other so well. Like, I'd never known you, but it looks as if I'd known you for years. As of today, I would, yes, that's a fact. I'd never met Anupam, but to me it looks he's been a friend forever. So, like, to me, connecting communities, and especially through these initiatives like sporting, socialization, promoting life values, promoting culture, exchanging, like in our Elevate Training Australia programs, we bring students from India to give them a kind of flavor of Australian life. And we from in Australia, students go to India to have a flavor of Indian life. So this is the way they have been really, it's like Olympism spirit. In that spirit, we work all together. So integration of communities is, I think, to me, is essence, connect in soul, connect in values, and connect in life. That's what it is.
What I just want to add is that there is one recent initiative of the International Olympic Committee, which is the organization for, it's called the Foundation of Culture and Education. And they have selected certain champions from every country to represent this great forum. And this foundation of culture and education talks all about the culture and heritage elements of different countries, and how beautifully these elements like music, arts, performing arts, and how these elements can put together to celebrate diversity, and at the same time making all these things inclusive. And yeah.
Celebrating diversity calls for it. I'm the one who's, I think, most favorite singer I have is Sanam Marvi from Pakistan. And I don't let a week go by when I don't listen to her. She's such a soul-touching voice and such an impressive. So this is how communities are like shrink. They're really integrated by their own efforts. So music in sport, we can involve, engage such people who can bring the forums together and bring communities together in these Olympic forums. And leave it to you, yes.
And you see,
would you like to share of some of your own experiences of heritage education programs?
So
yes.
I have
young leadership program.
Yeah, so I have grown up, watching all the great Indian movies, and without Shah Rukh Khan, I think there are not 2 days that we have not seen a movie of the Indian stars. So music and movies and culture is indeed something that really connects us very well. But in terms of Olympism, like here in Pakistan and many other countries, we do have the Olympic museums and the heritage museums, and these museums are there just to celebrate the glorious times of all the people who are associated with this great movement of sports, which is the Olympic movement. I'm sure that such museums should be there in every country, and now that IOC is also extending a lot of support for developing these museums. And when we talk about integration, we talk about communities, we talk about common elements on culture and heritage. This is all that is gathered and helps in promoting peace. And one such initiative of the international sporting bodies is the Peace and Sport Organization, and they celebrate one day which is called the IDSTP, International Day of Peace for the Development of Sport. And for the past 3 years from Pakistan, we have been participating in this global campaign, and it's all about raising a white card and showing solidarity with peace. So I am just going to show you a video, and with that closing remarks, and we end the conversation. I'm sharing this video because this is one best example of collaboration of the Olympic bodies and the government bodies. This video was indeed all about power sports, because that's because of this initiative that we planned in one of our provincial games. Pakistan was nominated for a Peace Award in the Peace and Sport Monaco, and in 2019 December I went to attend the Peace and Sports Award ceremony, and it was a huge achievement. But why I'm sharing it here is that this was a true example of collaboration and partnership between the Olympic organizations and volunteers, community-led organizations, and the government itself. This was the reason that we were able to, take it to such a huge scale and then present it to the Peace and Sport. And we were nominated for the award in April 6 category, and there were 6 countries. And interestingly, I remember that I met a very nice Indian friend also there. She was from an organization probably called Nandi Foundation. She was also, representing India on some other category in the award ceremony. So why I'm sharing this is that this is what the power of sports is, and this is what Olympism and Olympic ideals teaches us, that we should always work in collaboration, in partnership with our partners within the Olympic family and even outside the Olympic family. Because if we will bring people from outside the Olympic family to join our ventures and to join the movement, only then we'll be able to project the Olympism and the spirit of Olympism to a wider audience. So this is where I want to end, and that's the last slide, which says that I would like you to explore the Olympic.
You can't be ending on it. For you, this is an ongoing journey. You can't be ending here only. It's an ongoing journey. You have just started. Life is very long, and we look forward that you'll be contributing many more initiatives. However, when you were off the floor, when you were technical issues and you couldn't be on the mic, I was telling my audience about your initiatives of library corners and youth leadership programs with University of Oxford and IDSDP. All those initiatives I referred to. I'd like to ask you one small question before you say that I'm ending. That is,
Okay.
how do you look at role of youth ambassadors in the Olympism? If you could give your personal views and professional outlook towards it, what can be initiatives, what kind of initiatives we can check in there?
Yeah, so frankly, I mean, Doctor, it's such a great question, and Olympic movement is nothing without youth, because Olympic movement and Olympism is all about energy. And energy, I mean, with due respect to the diversity, and we do cater children and the old age group and everybody in this movement, but the energy comes from the youth. And this is what I was actually coming on my last slide, that if you are young and energetic and passionate about sports, passionate about culture, passionate about heritage, passionate about education, then Olympic floor is the right floor for you. It's just that you have to dig down and see the channels and what kind of people in your country are working for the promotion of Olympism. So if you are passionate, there are many online platforms. Like there is this .com which is called Athlete Learning Gateway. I'll also post it in the comment box. So if you go to Athlete Learning Gateway, there are many free courses offered by the International Olympic Committee, and generally the courses are 3 hours long, 5 hours long. So initially, I think for youth, if they want to get connected to Olympism, the first thing is to develop that understanding of what Olympism is and what the Olympic ideals actually talk about. So once you know that, and for developing this understanding and having the knowledge bank, I think you should go to these online free of cost platforms like Athlete Learning Gateway, sign up for some courses, how to manage the social media if you are an Olympic ambassador, how to manage sports medicine, how to manage injuries. They have done this tremendous job that they offer all these courses online. And the most charming part is that once you have completed that course, you get a certificate signed by the president of the IOC right away within few minutes. So isn't it great?
That's the power of the sports and power of digital technology.
Exactly. So if you want to be associated with, even if you're not an athlete and you don't play sport like me, I have never been a player, but even then this whole spirit of Olympism excites me so much. So to end with it, if you have explored the Olympic ambassador within yourself or in your community, simply go to Google, connect to me, connect to people like Kiran, Neeraj, and all other speakers you have been listening for the yesterday and even today, and celebrate and cherish Olympism.
Just give me one or two or few experiences of yours. How did you work in the developing society? In that society where you claimed that you came from, your personal experiences of empowerment we have listened to. But how did you translate that empowerment experience to other women in your life? Were you able to? If you have, please share with us some experiences. We'll be very delighted. Thank you.
Yeah. So, I started my first professional job working in a girls' school, as I mentioned earlier. I had 1,000 students at my disposal, all girls. And it was located in a community which was very mixed. So I had students from the elite background, I had students of the salaried class, and a very nice, diverse. And I think that's where diversity hit me so hard that it is now, I consider it as part of my soul. So there, what I think we all as women and as young women leaders, what we need to do for the promotion of women empowerment is just play our role wherever we are in the scenario, in an organization, in any NGO, any community initiative. We should keep playing our role and try delivering these leadership qualities to the younger generation. So back in, I think, 2014, I was working with a karate coach, and I developed a team and took 5 girls to play a tournament to Iran. And luckily, we came back with 5 bronze medals. It was a total, such a huge achievement for us and for the parents of those 5 girls, that till today, I think 3 of them are still playing karate, and they still take self-defense classes. So these small things are from where, women empowerment comes in. Then I think when we teach, we should bring in discussions on gender equality. We should bring in discussions on feminisms, the wave of feminism theoretically, and then arranging, certain, sessions and certain conferences and workshops where we give the younger ones a chance to come up and speak. Simple. So I've been as you also mentioned that I'm associated with Pakistan US Alumni Network, and I'm on the executive. I'm an executive member there as well. So we have a lot of
Yes.
girls from different socioeconomic background there. So we keep on arranging, such sort of forums, discussions, webinars, and trips, especially plantation drives. So it's just that I think the spirit of bringing social change, and then the spirit of changing the role of women and bringing it out of that box of stereotypical thinking that, oh, if you are a woman, you're not supposed. I've taken my girls to hiking, to ice skiing, to boatmanship, and then one thing which I did a few years back was that I hired a proper counselor, and I started counseling the girls, because when they are growing up, they go through a lot of difficulties, and many of them are unable to share it with their families because of certain challenges, single parents, or the family is too conservative. So I hired a counselor, and this was the first time that in my school, which is one of the elite schools, a counselor was hired. So once I was done with all of these little initiatives while working in school, and I moved on to the Olympic Association, and they saw that feministic soul in me, they made me the deputy secretary for Women and Sports Commission of the Pakistan Olympic Association. And
Yes.
over there, the first thing what I did, because I was hearing a lot of cases on harassment in sports, harassment in the of different kind. So now gladly International Olympic Committee has given a whole toolkit of harassment and abuse, and how sports organizations can tackle harassment and abuse. I can also share a link of that toolkit. It is also free of cost. I love free things, actually. So
Yeah, I would
will go
request
and
you,
explore.
yes, that on that point, I'll really request
so
you
I
if
will
you could
definitely-
kindly share all the links for digital resources, because many of our teachers, coaches, mentors, and Olympic leaders, Olympism ambassadors, they would like to use that. So if you could kindly put that to
Yeah,
the
so that-
organizers or in
Definitely.
your wrap-up, that'll be great idea. So everybody can access, or they can contact people.
Definitely.
From
so-
you talking
so
on
this-
one question from my end. That is that you were
Okay.
saying that you taken girls to hiking and skiing and very modern games and very games of which so-called elite and high class, above middle class people. How do you relate Olympism to the traditional concept of Pakistani sports, traditional sports in Pakistan? Do you implicate that component? How do you, or you have any plans, or you can kind of give some value orientation about it? How do you attach importance of Olympism to traditional concept of sports in Pakistan? Like I can recall many traditional sports in India. You name it. We used to play those marbles, kanche, gulli danda. We used to play kabaddi, tippu garam. All those games which brings you socialization, which brings Olympism, which brings free spirit.
That's an
how do you look
excellent
at those
aspect.
concepts in Pakistan, please?
I think it's an excellent aspect that you have. I'll first finish the earlier thing, and then I will jump onto this. So International Olympic Committee has given this whole big harassment toolkit. So when I became the Deputy Secretary for Women's Sports Commission in Pakistan Olympic Association, the first thing I did was, because it's a 300-page book and nobody is interested in reading because it's too long.
Reading the whole lot, yes.
Yeah, so I squeezed it down to 16 pages and then made a nice, interesting, colorful presentation out of it, and then translated it into our local language, that is Urdu, right?
Yes.
So and then in every presentation, in every seminar, the Olympic Association started projecting that shorter version of the toolkit, so that it is easier for every coach, every athlete to understand the stance of the International Olympic Committee on harassment in sports. So I think you guys, if you are working in any sports organization, national federation, or the Olympic body, you should go read that out and squeeze it down. And because India is such a multilingual country, and maybe you can translate it into Gujarati and into Hindi and some other languages. So that I think will help a lot.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Now coming to your traditional games question, Pittu Gol Garam, there are many traditional sports with India and Pakistan share because, we have been together for years and years. So Pittu Gol Garam, Gulli Danda, and Kho Kho, all these games, and Stapu. I have also played these games. Kenche. I was not very good at Kenche.
Are you bringing these game components into Olympism movement or not at your local level?
Yeah, so what we do is that there is a proper federation which is called Traditional Games Federation, and this federation has local bodies as well as international bodies, and they do have traditional games competitions as well. So on and off, when we are having workshops in schools, particularly with younger kids and particularly government schools, we do try to incorporate these games because they are not at all expensive. You don't need any fancy equipment and arenas for these, and you can really touch masses while playing Pittu Gol Garam, because you can play Pittu Gol Garam in a street, on a path, in the ground, anywhere.
As long as the participants are like friendly, they're respecting each other, they are mutually understanding each other, and they have sense of cohesiveness. I think that serves the purpose, and I'm very pleased to know that you are in contact with Traditional Games Federation of Pakistan. Please, my special congratulations on this note. And I think before I wind up, I would like to ask, would you like to say anything else which is you think I have not been able to ask you?
I think you have been very helpful throughout the session because you have been the driver actually, and you have been driving me back and forth.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for conducting it very well. And the only thing I want
that was my job assigned. That was my job assigned to me by the organizers. So I think it's a pleasure being in talk with you. If you permit, then I can give a closing note on it. And do we have any questions? I'll check with the organizers if you have any comments and questions.
Yes, ma'am. I definitely want to be mindful of both of your times. But in case that you have more time on your hands, then you can continue as well. The viewers are absolutely loving this session. I'm seeing comments coming in. People do not want this to end. So of course, I want to be mindful of your time. But if you have a few more minutes,
no. But if you have some of the comments, if I can see some of them, we can really bring others' perspective to audience perspective also.
Absolutely,
we can merge that
ma'am.
together.
Absolutely, ma'am. So I've picked out a couple of them and I can pick out more as well.
Sure.
So
Can you share that with us?
Yes, ma'am. I'll start with Namita Seni. I'll just quickly turn off Ada ma'am's screen. Great, lovely. So I'll start with Namita Seni, and she's asking us another question for Ada. I'll read out a first question as well. This is the second question. Just goes to show how engaged and interactive the audience has been so far. How many women in Pakistan have been participating in Olympic education? So can you talk to us a bit more about women participation in Olympic education in Pakistan?
Yeah, so hi Namita, thank you for the question, and I'm so glad to hear that people are liking it because and it's more because of Dr. Kiran, because she's so charming and so
because of your own merit. Please accept the credits.
Yeah, thank you. So on Olympic education, so Namita, as per the Olympic Charter, in any activity and every activity we plan, we have to ensure that there is a 50%. And so if we are planning a workshop and we are allowed to have 30 participants, that we ensure that at least 10 to 15 participants are ladies and women, right? In the same manner, in our leadership in the formal official quorum executive committee of the Olympic Association here in Pakistan, we have maintained a good 30% of women leadership. So we have women as Secretary General of the national federations. We have women as presidents of the federations. We have a whole women and sports commission, and then we have almost 6 individual women members. So we do put a lot of stress because coming from that women empowerment perspective and coming from the fact that in this South Asian region, we do face a lot of challenges while projecting women. So in all of our activities, all of our seminars, it's a 50%. So we try to, balance the gender while we are planning these workshops and activities.
Yes, next one, Anubhav.
Brilliant. Yes, ma'am. The next one that I want to pick out is it's actually dedicated to you, Kiran ma'am. So I know you have lots of fans yourself. And here's Anurag Negi, not a question, but with a comment saying, wow, amazing to see Kiran Sandhu ma'am after 2005, feeling so nice. Regards, Anurag Negi from IGI PES batch 2005. And he's left his
My
email address.
sincerest regards. Thank you. Lots of love and lots of good wishes to my students. Thank you. I'm feeling very elated, very emotional rather.
Fantastic. There's a question from Gauri Nayak, and Gauri is asking, question for Ada, what are the strategies that you have used to integrate Olympic ideals in the development of communities, specifically development of communities within Pakistan?
Yeah, so thank you, Gauri, for your question. So, I mean, I will again reiterate that the first thing is to create awareness. Most of us in the South Asian region and South Asian countries, I have observed this over the past 5 years in my career. When I tell somebody I work for Olympic Association as a volunteer, they say, oh, do you play any sport? Are you an athlete? Are you a coach? Because they just can't relate to this thing that Olympism is beyond sports. Olympism is about education. Olympism is about culture. That's what I've been, emphasizing on my presentation. So the first thing for community development that I have tried is creating awareness. So I have tried, engaging my National Olympic Committee with the youth networks, with the women networks, with the NGOs, with community-led initiatives. So once you start to break that ceiling and start creating awareness step by step at provincial level, then at national level, even in the national games back in 2019 we had in Peshawar, we planned a whole Olympic quiz. So there was a quiz for 3 days. I was running it myself on the multimedia screen. No fancy stuff. They only gave me one big LCD and some chairs and carpets. And I went to the store and picked up a lot of old T-shirts of different sports events. For every event we have these T-shirts. So because we didn't have so much budget to buy new gifts, they only gave me one new gift, that was a cap of Olympic Association. I went to the store, I picked up all the old things and wrapped them and made them the gifts, and then started inviting the athletes to participate in the Olympic quiz on the ground once they're done with their event of the day. And we distributed those gifts and people were crazy and they enjoyed it so much. They took selfies with Pierre de Coubertin's picture, and then we had the whole media wall arranged for them. So it's just that for involvement of community, giving them awareness and enhancing their outreach towards the with the organizations working for the philosophy of Olympism is important. That's the first thing you should do, and that's what I've been doing. Be it a school, be it a multinational. I've worked with Toyota. Toyota was my sponsor in the last Olympic Day. Now there is one campaign launched by Milo recently. That's the milk brand. That they're talking about home ground. So we are trying to build some sort of collaboration for this year's Olympic Day with Milo. So I mean, for engaging community and for developing community, you have to tap into the community. So if try engaging mothers, like MamaNet, you must have watched the session of this MamaNet organization. So try exploring linkages and channels within the society that are localized to your local context, and that's how you do it, and that's how I have been doing.
Fantastic. Ma'am, I must say, Ada ma'am, you speak with so much authenticity, so much candor, so much passion that I have seen every single session so far, not just today, but yesterday as well. But this has been by far my favorite session. I should not be biased, and all the credit goes to
We need to make
Kiran.
a go for you.
all the credit goes to Kiran ma'am and Ada ma'am for this fantastic session.
fact,
We have a
Ada-
couple. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Anubhav, I'd like to share with you, we really wanted this session to be straight from after speaking to Ada for a few minutes, I realized this needs to be straight from the heart. I didn't want it to be a very formal, structured session in which you really need to understand concepts. We are understanding how to do it. A very simple example, she's just quoted. You want to do Olympism? How to promote? You must have will to do it. Number one. Must create awareness. 2. 3, have an action plan. Plan and activities. Number 4, create supporting communities. Have your organizations and local linkages. That's it. That's what we wanted. These are written in the books. These are done by all practitioners. But the way Ada puts it, it's so simple, straight from her own experiences. And I think I've summarized it in a way that Olympism, from after seeing this whole, listening to the whole session, it should be a chain like a human chain. It should be values of Olympism like a human chain, one from the other, from the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. It's not one person's individual outlook, it's global outlook. And that's what we have valued in this session. And I'm sure Ada will agree with my comment.
No, you have.
Anyway, Anubhav, please take on the comments from audience.
Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead. I'm glad
Absolutely,
that people are
ma'am.
liking it.
Absolutely. I think, Kiran ma'am, I think you summed it up beautifully. The structure of this session was slightly different as well. So it was definitely a breath of fresh air. Of course, taking nothing away from the presentation style that we've seen so far for most of the sessions. But in this case, the fact that both of you, both Ada ma'am as well as you, were having an organic conversation with each other definitely made it a lot more relatable for the viewers as well. And viewers were able to chip in with their inputs, with their views, with their questions
so
as well.
I'm really feeling happy about it.
We're
Very
so
pleased.
happy. Yeah,
Give us more
that's how we
comments
want
from the
it to
audience,
be.
please.
Thank you.
Some
If
more
there is
comments.
any other question, any question?
Yes.
Or anything?
So we'll end with a couple of questions. The first one might be slightly detailed, but we have
No
Namita Seni again, who of course has become a big fan. Who's saying, I would like to ask Miss Ada, as she has worked on a lot of Olympism activities. Number one, what are the future initiatives for youth and youth ambassadors? And number two, what difficulties have you faced in your bid to transform yourself as an inspiration for the youth in Pakistan?
Yeah, so thank you, Namita, for being so engaged in the whole discourse. So to the first part of the question that you say that what are the future initiatives for youth and youth ambassadors? So when you see, there is a general perception that with the Olympic brand and with these rings, one thing is having an association. Let me share it with all of you that I have never been to any Olympic Games in my life. I am 31. It's been 6 years I'm working with the Olympic Association. So far, I did not get a chance to be in the Olympic arena. And even then, I feel so much attached and so much excited and so much enthralled with these Olympic ideas. So it's not that you have been, because that's a very prestigious platform, and only if we are a country of, let's say, 20 million, only 200 or 100 people from our country can actually go and feel that spirit of Olympism in the Olympic arena. So it's for future purposes, it's not that you are going to the mega games, you are going to the mega events. Bring the videos, put on multimedia, and share the let's say the opening ceremonies, the closing ceremonies of all mega games like Commonwealth Games, Olympic Games, Asian Games. And that's where you bring in your room of 20 people all that energy which was there, right? And then from then onwards, if you are planning, let's say, an interstate tournament, the best way to engage youth is to have volunteers for every single event. So if you have, let's say, an event where there are 200 participants, how you can involve any youth network is by giving them the leverage to handle the whole event. Make a group of 25 to 30 young ambassadors. Tell 2 of them to manage the education awareness component of that sporting event. Tell 3 of them to manage let's say, the social media campaign, because these days if we don't put anything on Insta and on so many softwares, it doesn't go viral, so it doesn't make sense. So that's how you involve youth, because for involving youth in Olympism, you have to see their interest, what strikes them. The articles and history and all these things might not strike them, but if you tell a young boy 18, 17 years old that can you become the social media ambassador as a volunteer for my next sporting event, bravo. That's how you have engaged that person, at least for once. And then for the sports organizations and people working in sports NGOs and community-led initiatives, it's very important to build a pool of volunteers. So if you have a website or if you have Google Drive or some sort of stuff, and let's say on one of your event 20 volunteers were engaged, keep their record, keep their email IDs, their pictures, everything. So start building up a pool of volunteers and a pool of Olympic ambassadors. And throughout the year, whenever you plan any activity on Olympism, be it an online session, a webinar, a workshop, a seminar, shoot them an email, send them a notification on Facebook or wherever. So staying connected with the youth is very important. One thing which a lot of countries are not doing is collaborating with the embassies, because in Pakistan, like the US embassy is putting in a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of effort in engaging the youth. So I think even in India and in other countries, you should try to break and try to meet people who work for the embassies, because they support financially also. And if you want to plan an event on Olympism, and if you want to plan an event on health and well-being, an event which is an amalgamation of the SDGs and Olympism, you can definitely put up a grant letter to any embassy, and they have a lot of fund with the ambassadors, with their consulates, and they're always willing to pay. So for engaging youth, Namita, can I see Namita's question again, because it's not on the screen now?
On second question,
It's
she's
not on the
asking
screen.
what were
Anubhav,
the
can you put it
difficulties.
again?
Second part is what difficulties you faced.
Okay. So the most challenging part is that I am a volunteer in the Olympic movement. I don't get paid for it. So I have a full-time job, which I have been doing, right? Like for a decade, I've been working for a school. So 7 in the morning till 2 p.m. I had my school, then my lunch breaks. And then I was rushing to the Olympic office from 5 to 9 at times, 5 to 8 at times. And people were always, my friends, some people from the family and acquaintances, they kept asking me, do you get paid by them? I said no, but it's my passion and I really want to do it and I want to bring a change, and that's why I'm doing it. So this was a challenge that I had to balance my life. And then one edge that I have so far is that I'm single. I don't have a family. I have my mom at home to cook for, to get things clean for me. So, I have always been on a ride, and over the past 2 years, I've been traveling so much that there was always a suitcase packed for me, to go to my next trip.
Lucky girl, huh?
Yeah,
Yes.
but
Lucky
frankly
girl.
speaking, I was on this scholarship, and people at times think that, she's traveling the world. But managing my job, managing my home, managing the Olympic Foundation, and then managing my studies
Must
was
be hard and
a
time
huge.
consuming. Yes.
Yeah, it was indeed. So
Yes.
there's just
We
this
agree. But then
question.
if there is a will, there is a way. Namita,
No
the
doubt.
clue is if there is a will, there is a way. Yes, Anubhav, we are back to you.
Yes,
Yeah, so
ma'am.
somebody had
Lovely.
asked, Anubhav, there is this
Yes, ma'am.
someone, Surbi Saini. Sorry for pronouncing it wrong. She is asking period talk about Olympic sport period in school timetable. I mean, if you want to take this question, then can you put it on screen? I think it's something that we can address.
Is it this one, ma'am?
Why
Yeah.
can't I see the
Yeah,
questions?
yeah.
You can see it now, ma'am.
Okay. So on this question, Surbi, thank you for asking. So you are saying that period talk about Olympic sport period in school timetable is only 2 times in a week. How much students learn in? Okay. Now, because I have been an administrator, so I know very well how to play with timetables and how to play with the PE teachers, right? So what I did, as Dr. Kiran also mentioned earlier, that I was working with the Olympic Association, and one day I saw a post, and it will be inspiring for most of you. That post was from India on my Facebook timeline, that there is a child sitting in the library and they posted first Olympic corner launched in India. I said, okay, Indians are doing it, I should also do it. I went to the Olympic Study Center website. I took their email ID from there, and I drafted a formal email and send them an email that we are a school of 2,000 people. I have seen a recent post that there is some library corner open in India. Can we also do this? So please feel free to talk. Next day, I got a reply from there, and not next day, I think a couple of days later. Then I sent an email to my Olympic Association saying that they have agreed to sending books. Almost, I think there are around 100 books. They have sent me free of cost for my school for building up that library corner on the campus within my library. Now comes the next challenge, that we have the books in the library, but we don't have time in the timetable to, push it through. So what I did is that I told the English teachers and then the science teachers and then other teachers to mix and match and see, because we also have only twice a week sports period. So I told them to see that how can we, again back to my slide where we were talking about integration in Olympism. So I told them to make, when they are planning their lesson for the whole week, at least once a week they should plan their lesson in a way that they are talking about Olympism, maybe in a comprehension. So English is done, Olympism is done. Okay. So
Fantastic.
yeah.
Brilliant,
So and
brilliant.
then so when I was experimenting all these things, I was approached by the school education department, government of Punjab. Punjab is a province of Pakistan. It's a big province. I was contacted by the secretary of the school education department, and he said that, all right, can you come for a meeting? I went, and then he said that we are working on a school sports strategy at province level. Would you like to work for us? So I said, well, I'm not a policy maker, and I have always been, a practitioner and a person who is in the field actually doing things, less of, too much reading. So he said, the meeting was scheduled for 10 minutes because the secretaries are so busy and school education is a big department. That meeting went on for 1.5 hours. And there and then we decided that how the Punjab school sports strategy will look like. There I proposed that I want one segment of Olympism to be incorporated in it. Then I planned a meeting of the school education department with the Olympic Association, and they had one-on-one meeting in which we came, and then the Aga Khan Foundation of Education came in. So that's how I build up the pieces together and spent 3 to 4 months of time with a team of junior consultants, and then delivered the Punjab school sports strategy. First time ever in the history of Pakistan that the government will be launching a proper school sports strategy. So, timetables are always workable when you try and think out of the box. Again, going to my slides, that Olympism is beyond sport. So you can do Olympism with social studies, you can do Olympism with ethics, you can do Olympism with all other subjects, and that is what integration in education is.
Thank you,
Ma'am,
Ada. That was really enlightening. And I really appreciate the way you explain your nitty-gritty approaches to sort out the situations. You have that, Ada, the style which I said in English, you really have that power in you, and you have showcased that you can really bring that in forefront and get the movement going and impact people with your initiatives. Anubhav, would you want me to give a close-up, or would you have any other remark or a question?
so no more questions. There's one question from me, but I'll save that for the very end.
Surely.
But I'll just, as Kiran ma'am said, Ada ma'am, I think you're a true hero, you're a true warrior, and it's not just me saying this, it's not just Kiran ma'am saying it. I think this sentiment has been echoed by everyone who's watching as well. So Namita Saini again saying, you are amazing, Ada, that's the passion. Hats off to you. Then Daisy Marwa saying, a wonderful session with lots of learning, thoroughly enjoyed. And many such similar questions. Here's
So
a Gauri
glad.
Naik saying, thank you to both of you for the wonderful session. So
To you also.
we've seen thank you, ma'am. We've seen comments such as these, dime a dozen from everyone. Daphne again saying, wow, Ada, beautiful and inspiring. Thank you for
you
sharing
so
your,
much, guys.
your lovely story.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
I'm honored. Thank you.
And Kiran ma'am, before
All
I hand
right,
it over to you
before
to
we
conclude
hand
the
it
session,
over, yes.
yes,
Yes.
there's just
Thank
one question from
Sure.
me, in case we have time. It won't take more than a couple of minutes.
Yes,
Ada
we have.
ma'am, Ada ma'am, on popular request, see, we've seen lots of questions related to Olympism. I was thinking of changing gears just for a little bit, and we can perhaps end on
Okay.
a light-hearted note. I am Indian, but one of my favorite songs is Dil Dil Pakistan, and I heard it for the first time during the 2019 Cricket World Cup, because I think that's a song that lots of Pakistani fans sing when they're in the stadium, when they're trying to cheer for their side, and I'm absolutely addicted to the song. And I think we are global citizens. Of course, we're Indians, we're Pakistanis,
Yes.
but we're global citizens. So I think we can sing that song. So look, I would request you to perhaps sing this song with me. How about we sing this in unison? And Kiran ma'am, in case you know, in case
Surely,
you know the
yes, I
lyrics to the
join
song,
in
then you can
whatever
sing this as
best I
well.
can. Yeah, I will
Sure,
join in.
sure. Why not?
Right, so
Why
we can
not? Why
we
not?
can
Let's
we can
do
we can
that.
we can do the chorus. So we can do Dil Dil Pakistan, Ja Pakistan. We can do the chorus.
Yeah. Okay, let's do
Okay.
that. Okay.
All right. You sing
Okay.
first, I follow you.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
1,
Okay.
2, and 3. Dil,
Dil Dil
Pakistan,
Pakistan, Ja Ja
ja, Pakistan,
Pakistan, Dil Dil
Pakistan,
Pakistan,
Dil-
Ja Ja
Ja, ja,
Pakistan.
Pakistan.
Aisi Zami.
Me.
It's something like that. और
ऐसी
Well done.
जमी और आसमां इनके
इनके
सिवा
सिवा
जाना
जाना
कहाँ
I think that's
भरती
enough.
रहे ये रोशनी चलता
चलता
रहे
रहे ये
कारवां,
कारवां,
दिल
दिल, पाकिस्तान
पाकिस्तान
जा,
जा
I'm in it.
पाकिस्तान दिल दिल
दिल,
पाकिस्तान.
Pakistan. Thank
Lovely,
you,
lovely.
Thank you, Abhinav. Thank you, Ada.
Lovely.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you
very
so much,
well said.
guys. Thank you.
Yes. Before I present I give you a concluding, I don't say remark, but a concluding sentiment from my side on the presentation by Ada. I like to first give a big thank you to Narendra Dhruv Batra, Dr. Narendra Dhruv Batra, the President of Indian Olympic Association, Mr. Prashant Kushwaha, Chairman, Indian Olympic Education Committee, Rakesh Malik, Organizing Secretary of the webinar, and members of Indian Olympic Education Committee, my online host, Anubhav, and very special thanks to Neeraj Kumar Mehra for his persistent effort to bring me back to my people in the sporting world in India. Thank you, Neeraj. I would have never done it if you were not insisting so much. But I'm very pleased and very fortunate. I'm feeling very pleasured that I am in this moment along with you. And most importantly, Ada Jafri, without you, today's day would have been dry, high. But now we are all feeling satisfied, professionally happy, and it's been pleasure talking to you. And I'm sure my viewers and listeners, they all had joined in and they made it so very meaningful that I have no words to say thank you to them. From bottom of my heart, my viewers, and thank you. My listeners, a very special thank you for sparing your time to be with us in this session. The talk by Ada Jafri was how Olympism serves the humankind. No matter what medium is it a traditional sport, high-end sport, or a digital approach? But it serves the humankind. It brings that Olympism spirit of respect, mutual faith, friendship, and respect, admiration for each other. This was also to promote philosophy of Olympic towards empowerment of being in education, getting fun, and self-actualizing yourself to the maximum potential. Her whole talk was around how she has felt self-actualized, how her passion has brought Olympism to people. So that's what probably is the message today we are taking home, that you can feel self-actualized through the moment where you commit yourself. And Olympism is the far better, the best medium to really feel connected to people. Ada has also showcased power of Olympism and how institutions, culture, heritage, and movement of ambassadors can play a role in it. And most importantly, what is new normal in the COVID scenario and role of digital medium in its promotion of Olympism. Olympism is ever evolving. This is for you all. This is for me. This is for everybody to experience the values of Olympism, excellence, respect, and friendship. Now, more so in the changing scenario of digital times, when we are not with each other, I think Olympism is the true, strong, and the most strong tool to be connected with each other. Thank you, Ada. Once again, thank you, Anubhav. Thank you, viewers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, guys. I will thank you. You have concluded it so well. I mean, you know the art of speaking far better than me, and it's such an, it's so
It's the art of doing,
inspiring
not
to,
speaking. Yes, Anubhav, leave it to you.
I don't know. Yeah, so the only thing I want to say is thank you, Neeraj, because it's been 10 days that he is honestly daily giving. I have not been so well in the last week, and it's been 10 days daily. Hats off to his persistence. He is reminding me, have you prepared your slides? Make sure your internet connection is working fine. So he has been a big support, and thank you, TeamYard. And all what I have presented to you guys is because of the freedom that is given to me by my organization and my country, and particularly Pakistan Olympic Association. So on this platform where so many people are admiring and aspiring the talk, I really want to thank the President, Lieutenant Syed Arif Hassan of Pakistan Olympic Association, the Secretary General Khalid Mahmood Saab, and the Olympic Committee of India, and I congratulate them for this great initiative. And frankly speaking, till we are locked down, I would love to see more coming from your side, and whenever you want me, I am there to come and share things. All those digital resources that I've shared, I'll be sending the links to Anubhav, and also the IOC harassment toolkit, and then you can send it out to the audience and those who are interested. So thanks a lot. I thoroughly enjoyed the whole session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, Anubhav.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So that concludes proceedings for that session. What's ironic is that because of certain internet issues that Adamam was experiencing initially, we thought that, we might not be able to hit the 50-minute mark, but we've actually gone on for 1.5 hours. That's how lovely and lively the conversation was. Lovely.